just got to Valpo awarded.
All right, just a quick announcement for everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight at the Plan Commission meeting. I'm not going to open the meeting yet. Just going to let you all know that we are waiting for our city attorney to come up tonight for the Plan Commission. Mark Wardley's running a little bit late, so hang in there with us and enjoy each other's company. Thanks.
Yeah, man. She was.
Wasn't sure if it would be here tonight.
So the baby is just about 13 months old. So it was like she was born, and then a month later was Mother's Day. So yeah, and it's Alyssa's birthday Friday, so it's like birthday and Mother's Day, 2 days apart.
I think I saw that in our city newsletter. She did 8th.
Yeah.
I'm the 4th, and my cousin's
Okay.
8th.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yesterday.
His wife's birthday is Friday. Say goodbye.
Yeah.
So much happiness. Let that one roll.
No, we're gonna.
We're start pretty soon. Where construction?
We were talking about it.
Yeah. The wood floors, wood roof and everything, old and rough. Inside some different levels inside. The brick.
It'll be nice to have something. It'd be nice to have something. There's not that much over here, you know. Nice to have something.
Breakfast and lunch, restaurant, yeah. On the corner, I swear, so that's nice.
Yeah. It's always a good thing.
Formative year. Yeah.
Always like
He's probably like vote. Yeah, there were some spots. It seemed like the high school people were just like getting in and out, and then Flint Lake, there's like a line out the door.
Actually,
I vote like honestly, it's so convenient.
And the best early voting spot is that old fire department because nobody goes there. Yeah. When I went there, there were 3 or 2 other people voting, but it's like I waited for 30 seconds. They were finishing up with the one guy, and then they're like, "Oh, come right." What about So, in my experience, it was like city council, and it's like the two names. And then they say you get a percentage bump if you're the top name. With this new setup, I don't think you could say that you're getting an advantage because you're all jam packed onto that screen. And it's just, okay, just pick one.
How do they list the candidates? Like it's not alphabetical.
It is. Well, yeah, for each office, it's alphabetical by last name.
That Woods.
Which the other county, Lake County, does it first to file. So if you're first in line, yeah. And I kind of like that idea a little bit more. Or like, I would like it if it was just random. Like they just like, oh, we did a drawing and yeah.
Or maybe not. 'Cause we're gonna get my ballot.
Yeah, there's just.
And then the general election is always whichever candidate wins the Secretary of State election county gets to be on top for the next 4 years. So like Diego Morales won Porter County 4 years ago. The last 4 years.
5:30 every
But
day.
for 4 years before that, Jim Harper won Porter County. So the Democrats get to be on top.
And they have, well,
Not that I did.
it's usually 5 or 6. They drive them out of there. When they developed that, because that would be, running down the streets. Because there's no other, except about half a mile north, there's a wooded area kind of around the Flint Lake. Yeah. But of course, people live in it. Right. Put them in their backyard.
Just like going in and outdoors.
Yeah. We switched spots.
I know. Yours is much better.
That's nice.
It feels cooler.
Where does she want to go?
For those of you just coming in, just a reminder, we're just waiting on the attorney to join the plan commission tonight. He's running a little bit behind, and we'd like him to be here. So thanks for the wait.
He's really good at
My daughter had her last little baby.
I'm like, do it again.
She had the last one. I was with her when she first came back for the first time.
I know.
The engineer wants to learn.
Of course. I heard later too. Yeah, but, they don't have one shot.
honestly, like Saturday and Sunday, she was just like,
Dogs get tired when they don't get to.
All right. Sarah, you good down there? Mark's in the parking lot, so we're gonna get started. Okay. You ready? All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started, Mark. All right. Good evening, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. I think our attorney is arriving on the grounds as we speak. So I'm going to go ahead tonight and open up the Plan Commission meeting, Valparaiso, for Tuesday, May 5th, 2026. Thanks again for joining us and being here to hear the items before us. First, I'd like to do the Pledge of Allegiance. For those who'd like to join us, please stand and say the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag. All right, I'd like to go ahead and do a roll call of members present, please.
Ellen Capitan,
Here.
Sarah Litke,
Here.
Clay Patton, Harry Peterson,
Here.
Max Raylander,
here.
Vic Ritter,
Here.
Tim Warner,
Here.
Diane Wurstel,
Here.
Matt Evans.
Here.
We have 8 members present.
So we have a quorum, and I'm going to go ahead and review the minutes from April 7th as the next item of business. And that will be quick review of those from the commission members. Were there any changes to the minutes from last meeting? I think in the packet. Yes. Second page in your packet. Entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from our April 7th, 2026 meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on the minutes? All right, all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we're going to go ahead and change some seats up here tonight. Myself, I need to recuse myself from tonight's meeting. I actually serve as a technical advisory board member for Paradise Community Homes, and I've done business with Urschel as a real estate agent. So I'm going to go ahead and recuse myself. And Mr. Warner, I think
Yes,
you had a
I will
comment?
also need to recuse as I am a board member of Paradise Community Homes and have had relationships with Urschel's.
So what we need to do next is we need to appoint a chair for tonight and a vice chair. So we'd go ahead and take a motion or a vote for that, a nomination.
I would nominate Vic Ritter as chair for tonight.
Okay, we have a motion,
I'll second that.
a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on that nomination? All right, all those in favor of Mr. Ritter as chair?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and we'll go ahead and take nominations for vice chair after I turn this over to Mr. Ritter first.
Your nomination for vice chair.
I would motion to have Ellen Capitan as vice chair.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Ellen. We've got three items of business tonight. They're all public hearings, and everyone who'd like to speak will get a chance to speak either in favor, asking questions, or opposed to the petitions. First item is of new business is PP 26-002. Urschel Development Corporation has filed a petition requesting subdivision of 4 disconnected areas of land along Cumberland Drive, north of Vale Park Road and south of Bullseye Lake Road. I will open up the public, or ask for the petitioner to speak. We have a petitioner for this project. Please come up to the podium and state your name and.
My name is Michael Fennick. I'm an attorney at Barnes & Thornburg out of our South Bend office. We represent Urschel. So Urschel Development Corporation owns the land in the Cumberland Crossing neighborhood that's at issue here, and we helped them with the petition to subdivide that land into 5 separate parcels, which up on the screen is illustrated in the box towards the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. And so it's pretty quite simple from Urschel's standpoint. The goals are to kind of consolidate and streamline the legal descriptions. It's currently a very kind of burdensome legal description, as that area of land was acquired over many, many years over time. And so the subdividing into the 5 parcels makes each subdivided parcel a much simpler legal description. And in addition to that, a couple of transfers are taking place. One parcel of land, as everyone is aware based on the new business items, is being transferred to Paradise Homes. Another parcel of land is being transferred to the YMCA. And I believe that's about all I have, but happy to answer questions and keep the discussion going.
Thank you. So with that, I'd like to open up the public hearing. We'll begin with people that are in favor of the petition. Please come up and state your name and address. Seeing none, any opposed or here to ask questions?
Hello, my name is Sarah Black. Do you need my address too, or just Sarah Black is fine?
Address, please.
My address is 908 Hastings Terrace, and I'm right across the street from Parcel 1. So I understand the need of Urschel to subdivide these parcels, but I have heard some concerns from my neighbors about, we know what's happening with Parcel 2 and Parcel 3, but there was a rumor brought up at the neighborhood meeting about Parcel 5 being potentially rented out. So we didn't know if these parcels have plans for the future, I guess is my question, other than 2 and 3, or is it only 2 and 3 that have plans at this point in time?
Thank you. Anyone else to ask questions or speak in opposition?
Have courage, folks. My name is Gary Brown. I live at 203 Harrison, Valparaiso. And I'm also president of Isaac Walton Porter County. I'm not against this parcel being developed, but you have to take a lot of things into account. I'm not imagining that I'm a construction engineer and know all the details, but I have seen quite a few, and I had worked in construction for a time. I'm here to talk about one item only. And I'm dressed for it. I have my old recycled tie with 2 kinds of blue because I'm going to talk about water. Valparaiso water. Every time we do another development, we move the water out of the way, and we have different drainage ditches and retention ponds all around Valparaiso. We have an East Lake side plan that's digging 6 wells. They've already got 4 done. But it's not just what you do with the water. It's not just if you separate it into storm and sewer. It's what you do with it after you develop it. And you can't just move it down to the next parcel and the next subdivision. We seem to be doing that more and more as we approach Highway 6. And after that, Valpo has to fight with everybody else on unincorporated land. That's not this case. It's one of the last parcels left in the middle of the city. Although, as a history major, I'm dying to see the World War II trainer that's buried at the old airfield. Sign me up for that. I'll be there with cameras. Our spring water was given to us by God through the glaciers 15, 20,000 years ago. Nice, clean, cheap spring water. I filter my water at home twice. I still have lead pipes going to my house. I don't see a big program to change the lead pipes very often, although it comes up occasionally. And all the new subdivisions, they're using different species entirely. Plastic pipes. Let's hope it isn't the old plastic pipes. They've made them better. I'm worried about what happens in stormwater and how much more water we have left to give to developments in general. These developments will take copious amounts of water. The Lake Park Village uses copious amounts of water. In fact, I would guess if you had facts about how much water use you have there, it might be synonymous with the subdivision you're thinking of planning across the street, if I understand the map correctly, for Paradise Homes. And I'm in favor of affordable housing because I think God gives us the right to give some affordable housing to people and not expect $350,000 to be a starter home. So I'm hoping there's a real chance that these affordable homes meet that description, but they should also have water. Now, when you say water in a development, you're not just saying your yards, of which that development will probably be a common area. They might have some sort of common park or something around it, but they're not watering to make green grass or to grow trees. They'll be using washers and dryers. They'll be using dishwashers, and what was even planned down on the links of Valpo, downtown, animal washing stations, which is another filtering problem to begin with. All this polluted water goes into the sewer lines, but all the storm water, depending on which way you pitch, that goes to the drainage. I understand Meyer has that long ditch. That was the old Kmart line. Right now it's open. We hope they enclose it and it can find its way to the proper place. I was hoping people were here tonight from the lakes because they have a problem with a lot of stormwater ends up at Flint Lake, and it affects all the other lakes. So God put that water deep in the ground, drainage. I learned that in geomorphology class at the university. I took 2 of them. I almost became a geography major because it is hard to figure out. You tap into the aquifer here, it might be different than the aquifer over there, and you're not that far apart. This is very close to everything that's already developed encircling this whole area. So I'm worried what happens with the polluted water because, especially now, we are at record water levels this April and last March, and now even into May. We have high levels in all of our reservoirs. In fact, I know a lady that refuses to sell to the city of Valparaiso her land to be another reservoir. Okay? So I guess they're waiting for her to die or her relatives not to take over, and they'll try again because she's told them many, many, many times. So if you're going to do the developments, I ask, please have a water plan before you come to the city council, because this is a much larger problem than just an individual development. And that's what we're all about, Isaac Walton, clean water. We try to teach it at our nature nights at the elementary schools. And I'm sure you know what we're talking about here. But we've reached our limit, and it's been whispered and sometimes publicly said, well, we can always get Indiana, Michigan water. Well, let's get something that's even more expensive than what we already have now. Our water bill will shoot up tremendously. They're just about finishing the pipeline from Hammond to Romeoville, Aurora, Joliet. They want our water. I don't want to tap into that. We'll be at the bottom of their list, although we might be a higher per capita income here than Romeoville. So maybe they can charge us more money when we do that as we keep approaching Highway 6. You can only pump it so far from Flint Lake. Is there really a plan to do that? Be open about it now with this subdivision. Tell the rest of Valparaiso as soon as possible. Don't hide it. Be face forward. If we develop this capacity beyond what we are already approving, we will be thinking about doing millions of dollars of infrastructure to re-tap into Indiana, Michigan water. That is my hope. That is my big question. Otherwise, you'll be singing the song from ABBA, Waterloo. This will be your Waterloo. One big development that's much larger. You're not succumbing in love unless it's the love of water. Nice, cool, spring, cheap water, of which our spring water is getting harder every day. I filter mine twice, the whole house, and then to the refrigerator. I hate to think I have to go to a third step. I'm already putting vinegar in my water for the dishwasher and the washing machine, and I think that we better do a better job of what we do with our industrial users and save it for the population and be open about the costs that might be falling on our heads in the future. Address it with this development, please. That's my request. It's a question we all should answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Anyone else wishing to speak? State your name and address.
Lindsay Hunt, 1300 Winding Ridge Lane. I'm in the condos on Bullseye and Calumet. And so, you know, I've been here for quite a while, and Valparaiso seems to purport themselves as a very environmentally green, friendly, you know, wanting to keep things nice and green. And you have rain gardens down here by the court. And what guarantee can this commission have that breaking up the parcels into 5 sections isn't just an avenue to have them all be developed and to lose the green space and the trees in the middle of the walking path? I've seen comments that wildlife will just leave, but where? Where in Valparaiso are they gonna go? There are no other green spaces. I'm an ecologist by training and profession, and there is no place for them to go. What are you gonna do when the community members have crashes with deer or coyote that cause damage or injury? What are you gonna do when coyotes start eating people's cats and their dogs because they don't have any other place to go? So that's my question. Also, what ecological input or professionals have you had to talk about what the impact on the environment or the wildlife in this area? I realize that the commission might not care so much about that, but pollinators, birds, they're all very important. Have you had any input from anybody in the environmental community in this area? We are very close to Indiana Dunes, and there are state parks. You know, Shirley Hines, all of these things. Have you guys had any input from the environmental standpoint of what this will be and what potentially developing this entire area will do to the community?
Thank you.
My name's Esther Rosales. I live at 801 Bullseye, literally right in front of everything. So when she talks about the animals, I know 100% what she's talking about, because every time I walk out my front door, there should literally be a deer crossing sign, because I have deer everywhere in front of me. And just in the last 15 years, I've watched the area build up. And as you build up that area, the deer all congregate to one area there. And that's where those parcels are that Urschel wants to develop. And no offense against Urschel, because I know you employ a lot of people and whatnot, but you building that up it's going to affect the animals. Yes, they're going to be forced to move into one area. And people are people, and they're going to use Bullseye Lake Road, and that area is the NASCAR strip that they think it is, and people drive like idiots. And kids walk on those walkways, and I've seen near miss after near miss with kids walking, and they get ahead of mom and nearly get hit by a car. I've seen animals get hit because people drive too fast, and the deer just get left there. I got to call the cops and go, hey, there's a huge deer in the middle of the road, literally dying and struggling. Who's going to take care of all these issues? You add more vehicles, you have more damage. The police, no offense against police and fire, but I've seen cops fly past my house like they should have rocket backs. You're going to add more people, you're going to have more need for EMS and fire. The traffic is insane. I can't back out of my driveway anymore like the good old days because it's traffic both ways. You add more affordable housing. I don't really think it's affordable housing, but okay, whatever. It does things to the animals, to the people, to the traffic, to the pollution. There needs to be better answers as to how, where else can you build all this stuff? Where else can you do, and what's going to happen to all the animals? Because just like she said, it's the same animals in this tiny little space, and I'm watching them die away one by one. There's got to be a better solution. We need condominiums right now at this point, like I need a hole in the head, so nothing else.
Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Marcy Stearns. I live at 1152 Smallwood Trail. So I have the same concerns as everyone else, partially for the infrastructure of the city to be able to handle whatever the new development is going to be, not just the water, the sewers, the roadways, the population increase. If anyone's trying to get past the high school about 7:15 in the morning, you understand what a nightmare it is with Vale Park going straight through now in the traffic. I got to leave early to get to work just so I can wait in line, because with the median in the middle of the road, you can't even go around the people waiting to turn right to get into the high school. So we all sit there in one big line. So now we're adding growth to the center of the city where we already have a lot of development and a lot of growth and population and everything else, instead of growing from the outer limits of the city out. Same thing with the animals. I love the green space, part of why we came here. It was a beautiful, welcoming city, you know, but the development just keeps coming into the center of the city. So I'm worried about the infrastructure. I'm worried about the environmental impact. Again, with the animals, we recently had a coyote try to snatch a dog in Keystone right off their back porch. Like, it came up on the back porch. And the deer we see are everywhere, and there's no place to go. Where are they gonna go? And I think we need to think about that. And I don't know what actual developments are going to be done there other than that Paradise Home housing or whatever that is, the affordable, you know, trying to make Valpo more affordable for people to be able to buy homes. And it's a difficult time right now to buy a home, I understand that. But when I couldn't afford to purchase a home in the area I wanted, I purchased it where I could afford. And then as my life progressed and my husband's, and we, you know, became more successful, then we worked our way up to being able to buy our beautiful home here in Valparaiso. So I don't know that we're doing a service actually by, you know, trying to lower the pricing and the whatnot in order to accommodate people to be able to buy in Valpo because they just want to live here in Valpo. It's a great place to live, it really is, but you know, sometimes, like I said, you got to start out in Portage or Chesterton or, you know, wherever you could afford a home, work your way up, come up here, move into the city. I just am concerned that we're going to end up with just a lot of overdevelopment and impact on our schools, our roadways, everything. In the end, that's my thoughts on that. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Amy Nondorf. I live at 2256 Beauty Creek Court in Valpo. I've never been to a meeting of this for the development things, and I don't know a whole lot about development ordinances that you all have to cope with. So I did a little research on your Unified Development Ordinance in preparation for coming to this. And your purposes plainly state that you have to ensure that the community grows in an orderly fashion. And my concern, living over in Beauty Creek, is that we have at least 3 subdivisions within a couple of miles of me, I think, going in that are going to have a lot of homes coming in. Not just what's the one by between us and me and you? The Brooks? The Brooks. Then there's the ones out by 130. That you're adding all of these homes, which is going to be bringing in a bunch of students. We don't have the facilities, the schools, the structure organized to do that. And to my knowledge, in my recent memory, and I could be wrong here, people, but I think we've added elementary schools is what we've added in recent years. Is that correct? We've added, how many elementary schools are we going to have to add, and where are we going to put them? And then if we've added these elementary schools, we're going to have to get a middle school, right? I have not seen a middle school. Has anybody seen a middle school developed here in years? No, correct? How many middle schools will you have to develop before you have to do something with the high school? Because we all know the high school is crowded, correct? It's all, everybody drive by there, we all see that, correct? You don't have the facilities in place to add another subdivision there. And that's my concern. And you don't have the doctors either. Has anybody tried getting a doctor's appointment lately? Y'all know how bad that is, right?
Yeah.
You're going to add a lot more people in here, and you're going to crash our system. We can't even use it. And then my last one, my other concern that we have is you're supposed to protect the sensitive ecosystems and the natural resources. That's a lovely green space. And it's really nice to drive by and see, and we enjoy that as a city, is having green spaces protected. I don't think that we should be changing the zoning nature of this from a business zoning to a residential zoning so that they can put more houses in when we don't even have the structural support for that. And my last thought would be, you guys are supposed to protect the unique and special character for the city of Valparaiso. Not being overdeveloped and having house upon house upon house, and having places like the green space where we have the natural animals, where we can have our fireworks show. How many people go to the fireworks and gather there? Everybody go to do that? A lot of
Please
people,
address the
correct?
board. Please address the board, please.
We all do that. You're going to lose some of our public gathering spaces where we all are a community. That's not right. So those are my concerns, that we are going to burden our school and we're going to take away from our school, our charm that we have here, and harm our environment. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
My name is Ashley Smithy. I live at 1300 Winding Ridge Lane. I've been a citizen of this community for the past 30 years, as well as my immediate family. I'd just like to say that this open land shouldn't be taken away by more housing projects, because its long-term value to this community far outweighs its short-term financial gain. First, this particular open land plays a critical role in environmental stability. Natural spaces support biodiversity, protect wildlife habitats, and help regulate air and water quality. With these areas that are replaced with commercial development, ecosystems are fragmented or destroyed, contributing to pollution, flooding, and sometimes loss of species. Once that land is developed, it's almost impossible to return it back to its original state. Open land provides important public health and quality of life benefits. Green spaces such as these give people places to walk, exercise, and decompress, which is something especially important in these stressful economic times. Studies consistently show access to natural nature improves mental health, reduces stress, and even lowers healthcare costs. Replacing these areas with commercial properties remove those benefits and contribute to over-urbanization, which has been an ongoing issue across Porter County, especially Valparaiso. There's a long-term economic consequence to this. While commercial development may bring immediate tax revenue, it often increases the infrastructure costs, such as roads, utilities, and emergency services, all things that the community must maintain. Valparaiso's infrastructure is quite behind, and the roads surrounding the area are already in very poor state. Open land like the Cumberland area can provide sustainable, ongoing economic benefits without the level of public expense. Finally, once open land is sold to commercial buyers, communities lose their control over how that space is used. Decisions shift from public interest to profit-driven motives, which may not align with most of the Valparaiso residents, what they actually want or need. Preserving open land ensures that the future generations still have access to natural spaces and the communities retain a say in their own development. I'm in no way degrading the Urschel family because they have helped employ many within this community. But the Urschel family owns enough property in this town and have enough to grow their own generational wealth. I'm asking them to do what's right for the land, and that's what's going to make the most money.
Thank you. Are there any comments on topics we haven't heard?
Hi, Clint Wiggins, 1002 Oak Grove Court. I share some of these same concerns with the water, with the schools. I mean, you talk about, like the elementary level ratio, teacher to student ratio is about 1 teacher for every 25 to 30 students. I think, one of the big things for me living in Oak Grove is fighting the current traffic patterns. I really haven't seen a traffic congestion plan to help control that before you start developing more land in that area. I think that's important. I also think, from what I heard, we weren't able to make the last meeting, but maybe the setbacks are a little bit narrow. Maybe you could balance it a little bit more with some more wider setbacks, because 5 to 10 feet is pretty narrow between houses, and it definitely wouldn't be advantageous for the wildlife. So besides all the concerns that you've heard, those are some of the main concerns I have. Living on Oak Grove Court and Oak Grove Street, we have Valuable Americans. We have a lot of traffic in that area. And the parking is out of control. We have signs up that they're not supposed to park on one side of the road. It's not enforced. So, just saying, that's a major concern for that area, and you're going to have accident rates are going to increase if you have a lot more population, density in that area. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any comments on new topics?
Just really quick. My name's Noelle Gopinski. I also live at 1002 Oak Grove Court. My main concern is that I see children all over in the green space all the time. I see them playing, and I see parents getting to play with their kids. And I'm just worried that the kids that live in that area won't have any more open space to go. So instead of, yes, we've built a lot of parks, but many parents don't trust their kids to walk over there, and that space is so close and it's so open that I've taught my little sister how to swing a bat there and play baseball. So my main concern is just not having enough space and open for children to play and seeing them grow and things like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more comments?
So my name is Maria Kuknas. I live at 3502 Coventry Circle, right in the corner of Bullseye Lake Road and Coventry Circle. I am concerned about the traffic. Sometimes it takes me a good 10-15 minutes to pull out of my street onto Bullseye Lake Road, making a left-hand turn. I'm also concerned about the flooding on the corner of Oak Grove and Bullseye Lake Road. Many times after a heavy rain, I must pull into the oncoming lane to get around the giant puddle there on the street with no flooding alleviation. And that's where you want to put the subdivision that will also cause more water runoff and flooding. I'm also concerned about the traffic. Early in the morning when the bus stops right by my house right there, there's many times people shoot right on by to get past the bus. What's going to keep that large subdivision that we're building with more traffic to keep them from passing the buses? And thirdly, of course, the animals. I was horrified less than a year ago when I got a knock on the door by a police officer for the Valparaiso Police to tell me that he would be euthanizing a deer on my front lawn because it had been mortally wounded. Putting more homes and concentrating many homes on a small lot frightens me by the fact that we'll have, of course, more congestion on the street. I'm frightened to cut the lawn on my street. I've had many close calls with people coming way too close to my grass as I'm cutting. I always cut in the direction of traffic coming towards me so I can step out of the way when they fly past me. I have a plastic, I think it's a phone tower or something that has been run over repeatedly. I just leave it lying on the street. My neighbor who lives behind me there will attest that she's lifted it and put it right again. It's just lying there in the street because people, where the street narrows and widens right by my street, people don't realize that the street is getting narrower at that last moment and they run it over. I think that's probably the worst of it right there. The danger to the pedestrians and myself as I cut my lawn in my front of my home.
Thank you. Seeing no one else having a desire to speak, I'll close the public hearing and ask the petitioner to respond to the comments.
Thank you. As to the subdivision, other than parcel 2, which is going to be used for the Paradise Homes development, Urschel is not aware of any other development plans to any of the parcels involved here. And as noted in Urschel's subdivision petition, there are no requests for zoning variances, roads, easements, nothing like that. Essentially, it's status quo to the other parcels as it is today, immediately following the subdivision, other than whatever may happen with that parcel 2, which will be donated to the Paradise Homes project group. So other than that, I believe, Urschel's not in a position to really speak too much to what Paradise Homes may be doing and the specifics with the development. And instead, our role here is kind of to just explain the nature of the subdivision itself and what Urschel's motivations are.
Could you quickly state your name, please?
Michael Finnick, Barnes and Thornburg. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would stay up here because we still have to ask you questions. Don't get comfortable.
Please.
Thank you. We'll open it up to staff and the commission. Staff first, please.
As I stated in the staff reports, the parcel 2, I asked the same thing, the large parcel that everybody's concerned about. They're doing nothing with it. It is staying as is. We have no petition for, reading on Facebook, there was a gas station, there was apartments, there's condos, there's housing. We have nothing as far as a petition going in on that large parcel. We do have on the little 5-acre parcel up in the northeast corner on the east side of Cumberland, that's Paradise Community Homes. There is a petition for that. But the remaining of the parcel, everything, we do not have any petition in that office concerning about future infrastructure to be constructed on it.
Mr. Finnick, do you have a different image of this parcel and what it looks like divided?
So I have the, I have a GIS photo here in my notes. But tell me, how can I help?
Oh, I thought it just would be an easier visual for those in the audience and those at home if they had the current zoning, and that was something that I was looking at before here. Yeah, and I wanted to go over what the current zoning is at these parcels and what that looks like after it's divided. Bob, maybe would you be better to explain that?
Sure. I mean, currently, the current zoning that's on the large parcel, parcel 2, which is bounded on Valparaiso to the west, Cumberland to the east, Bullseye Lake to the north, and Vale Park.
Parcel 1. Parcel 1.
It's going to be called Parcel 1, excuse me. Thank you. It has business park zoning on it. It also has light industrial zoning on it, and it also has neighborhood commercial zoning on it.
Just as its current zoning.
Just as the current zoning.
And Urschel, as a community member, as a landowner, has kept it as green space, even though it has multiple
Correct.
zoning there.
Correct.
And to reiterate, no request for any changes to that in connection with this.
Correct.
Correct.
And so really what we're discussing here right now in this petition, PB 26002, is dividing from 1 into 5. And Bob, you had explained this really nicely to me earlier, that it cleans it up in order for these two, I don't know if we can call them transactions or donations.
Donation.
Donations.
These are local nonprofits.
Right. The parcels are split right now by Cumberland Road, 3 of them. The one up in the very northeast corner, which is along Bullseye Lake in Cumberland. The small parcel that's along Cumberland Crossing, which is zoned commercial general. It's between the 2 Y parcels. And the pond that is next to the apartments, also on the east of Cumberland. It's just simply separating and cleaning up, because all of that is considered one parcel, and described that way when you go onto the county's auditors and assessor's site. So they're just simply dividing these things off because of the road separations.
Got it. That was my biggest question in all of this, and I have others for when we move to our next agenda item. I do want to clarify for those in the audience or at home or who are following along that this gets its first reading and public hearing tonight. And then it'll come back to Plan Commission in June.
June 2nd.
And then that will not go to City Council.
It will not go to City Council.
This item. So this does get one more reading after this. Yeah, my other comments are from the next pieces. So.
Any comments from the commission on this item? Any other comments?
Can I just ask, so I know nothing's being proposed for parcel 1, parcel 2 is coming up here. It appears that parcel 4 and 5 both have ponds, is that correct?
Retention pond.
And then parcel 3 is what's being donated to the Y?
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that, thank you.
Any other comments?
I lied when I said my stuff was for the rest, but it was about the retention pond. Is that parcel 5? That's kind of
5 and 4.
5 and 4. Why are that one makes sense? That's for the YMCA. Why are 4 and 5 being parceled out? Just as what?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I think it's for when it comes to retention ponds at various points in the future, there could be needs to grant easements or rights of way or other access for maintenance, things like that. And so this all started with the desire to donate the parcel to the Y, and it's kind of, the project has kind of snowballed from there.
Sure.
And so while we're at it, thought it made most efficiency to go ahead and subdivide the retention ponds at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, to add on to that, from a stormwater management perspective, it can clear up the legal framework as far as if someone else wants to connect to those ponds. They do act as regional detention basins, and we've gotten that question here at the city.
When you say other people connect, like the YMCA connects to it, or
like the Kmart site with Meyer situation.
Could drain into those.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Sorry, as far as the, oh, she is, sorry.
Excuse me. I was just confirming the regional connection that Max was referring to.
Any other comments, questions? So we'll not be voting on this item tonight. We'll be discussing it again at our June 2nd meeting next month in June. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next order of business, we have two orders of business that are related. This will also be a public hearing, and we're going to combine the next two items into one public hearing. Item RZ 26-001, a petition from the Urshel Development Corporation, care of Paradise Community Homes, which is the petitioner, has filed a petition requesting the rezone for a parcel of vacant land located at the southeast corner of Cumberland Drive and Bullseye Lake Road to be used for a residential subdivision. The other item is PP 26-003. Urshel Development Corporation in care of Paradise Community Homes, who is the petitioner, has filed a petition for a primary plat parcel of vacant land located at the southeast corner of Cumberland Drive and Bullseye Lake Road to be used for a residential subdivision. So with that, I'll open the public hearing. Same process as last time.
Presentation first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do we have a petitioner?
Good evening. Thanks for not forgetting me.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. I'm Bill Oding, and I'm glad to be here at this point in the process of developing parcel 2 of the Urshel property. We are calling this development Cumberland Corner. I am the recently retired city administrator as of last Thursday, and am stepping into a more full-time role with Paradise Community Homes. We started back in May of 2023 talking about doing something when I came back to the city 3 years ago. And the issue at the time, and still is that attainable homes are tough to get. And it's not just in Valparaiso, it's a national issue. And we kicked it around for quite some time thinking, what can we do about this? And frankly, we came up with the idea of trying to tackle it. I got some of the best people I could find, having been involved in the housing industry, got them together and said, is there something we can do here? The enthusiasm and desire of that group was amazing, wanting to do something positive in their community to help people purchase their first home or downsize into a home, making another home available and on the market. And so we really explored the fact that there was no real homes being built under $425,000, $450,000. It was really had a strangling hold on our folks wanting to be homeowners and developing generational wealth from having property like many of the people in this room do. And so we worked on that. We worked on it hard for quite some time. And I'll get into some of those details, but as I'm going through this and we're looking for property, it's tough to find property of any size that is affordable in the city of Valparaiso and frankly, most any place you go. I stumbled on this parcel one day. I realized it was owned by the Urschel Corporation. I reached out to the Urschels and had a meeting with Jennifer Brooks and Rick Urschel, who embraced this completely and were very excited about doing something positive in their community. And then got the chance to work with Megan Kyleman and put together a program that we thought would be beneficial to our residents. The interesting thing about this, and people talk, the Urschels don't need this, the Urschels don't need that. I could not begin to decide what the Urschels need or don't need. But I can tell you 100% that the Urschel generosity in the Valparaiso community is amazing. They give all the time. They own land here. They own businesses here. And when I approached Rick and Jennifer at the time, they gave us the land, 5 acres in the city of Valparaiso to do something with for our community, something good for our community, to help the young families and help people downsizing have an opportunity to move into a quality home within the city. I'm really proud of the Urschels and all that they've done, and I'll sing their praises forever. I always have, but even more so now when they stepped up and did this for us and for the city of Valparaiso's residents. Paradise Community Homes is a not-for-profit organization formed and recognized by the state of Indiana and the IRS in August of 2024. If you've ever done anything like that, be very, very patient. We have an 11-member board of directors who have worked long and hard to develop a housing program. We have 5 technical advisor committee members who lend their expertise. All members are required to have some expertise in the housing industry. No board member receives any compensation. I don't care what they tell you on Facebook or social media, not one. In fact, the truth is, some of them have opened their own pockets, their own checkbooks, and have helped out along the way when things got a little tight early on. So no one gets any compensation. It's all volunteers. They're all community volunteers. They work in a lot of different aspects. Our mission at Paradise Community Homes is making home ownership attainable for all. Since last summer, we have built 5 homes. They're 1,200 square feet, 3 bedroom, 2 baths. These are our concept homes, and we're the beginning of the program that we have today. We have been generously given, again, the 5.4 acres, I believe it is, of the property. It is our goal to develop 9 market rate lots and 18 lots for smaller houses at an affordable price. Today's housing market is not building houses in our price range. We are trying to build homes between $250,000 and $300,000. We fight hard to get to $250,000. It is now my pleasure to invite to the podium Bob Kuhlman, who is the Vice President of Paradise Community Homes, and as many of you know, has been a highly successful developer and builder in and around the Valparaiso area for
68 years.
I don't believe that.
Yeah.
40 plus years.
Dad had me mowing the subdivision with the tractor when I was 12.
So 68 years it is. I'm not going to take 28 years away from you. So Bob will explain why we're here today to talk about rezoning and the replat process. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Bob Coleman, and I'm not quite a native of Valparaiso. I live at 502 Franklin Street in downtown. We made the choice to move downtown because we like mixed-use neighborhoods. And so I had the opportunity to tear down an old house and build a craftsman-style house that fits into the neighborhood. We love living downtown Valpo. And jokingly, yes, by the time I was 12, I could reach the pedals on the tractor, so Dad had me mowing Coolwood Acre subdivision. I returned from the Navy in 1970, built my first house in 1972. So legitimately, Bill, I've been in the housing business for over 50 years. I sold my construction business to a couple of my employees 9 years ago. My name is still on it, but I don't own any of it. I've retained the development company, Capstone Development, and I own 2 lots left. And they will close this month, and then I'm out of the business entirely. Had the opportunity on 2 previous occasions to joint venture with the city to do something that I thought was really, really important in the area of trying to provide housing that wasn't being addressed generally in the market. So if you know the little West Side neighborhood that's out by the West Side Park, or Cedar Street on the east side, which was called Rose Garden, those were joint venture projects with the city when the city was still able to garner community development grant numbers to provide infrastructure expenses. The city is not capable of doing that any longer. The state says Valpo is in too good a financial shape to be able to do that. So when Bill called me a few years ago and said, would you be willing to serve to help see if we can find a way to be able to provide a level of affordability, I guess I felt like there's probably nobody around that's done more of this in and around Valpo than we have, and we've always tried to focus on really creating great neighborhoods for people to raise their families and contribute to the community. Almost everything we've ever done has been owner-occupied housing, and that's been a preference of mine because it means when we are able to put owner-occupied housing in place and people can own homes, they take an interest in the community. They're committed to the community. It's part and parcel of what they are then, and it's a benefit to the entire community. Once we learned that the Urschels were willing to contribute this property, to donate this property to Paradise, there were several concerns that we had in terms of how we would go about developing this parcel. 2 significant concerns were how do we protect property values to the north on the other side of Bullseye Lake Road, and secondly, how do we keep from bringing driveways out onto Bullseye Lake? So in order to do that, what we ended up looking at doing was, as Bill mentioned, the lots that face Bullseye Lake Road do not have are alley loaded, if you will. So you'll see an alley on the site plan there from the north tier of lots to the tier of lots behind. And so there are no driveways that will come out onto Bullseye Lake Road. In addition, the city is in the process of adding a pathway, one of the city's pathways, there on the south side of Bullseye Lake Road. We didn't want to bring driveways out across that, which is part of the planning process in terms of using alley-loaded lots behind on all of those lots. So those lots we intend to be able to sell at market to builders who would build market rate product. Where do we have the boards? Give you some kind of an idea of what we envision. The simplest way to get a handle on what the product would look like if you drove out to Aberdeen and drove through the cottage neighborhood in Aberdeen, it would give you a pretty good handle on what the market rate product would be. Paradise Community Homes is not a builder. We're strictly developing property and looking to participate with a number of local builders who have indicated an interest in working with us to find ways to address the issues that we're talking about. So if you the Plan Commission members, this is the more or less the kind of thing we would like to see in the market rate lots that face Bullseye Lake Road. But you'll notice there's no garages because the garage is behind. They unload out onto the alley behind. So we're not putting more traffic out onto Bullseye Lake Road. It's coming into the alleys behind. So if you want to idea of what that would look like. These are just concepts, some sense of what a builder might be looking at doing, similar to what you might see if you drive through the cottage neighborhood out in Aberdeen. The tier of lots to the south of that are also alley loaded, but we anticipate these are smaller lots, and that's where some of the opportunities we have with the donated land and some of the grants that we've received to be able to provide housing at a reduced cost. But once again, you'll notice that there's no driveways onto the front of these houses because they also unload from the rear. So these are simply concepts. We don't build them. We'll be talking with builders who want to participate and build this sort of thing. Then the south tier of lots would be what we would call street-loaded lots. And so they're a little wider in order to accommodate the fact that there is a driveway that's going to come out onto the street there. So we're talking about those as attainable product that comes out onto the street on that south tier of lots. It may be one car garages, it may be two. That'll be up to the individual builder who's looking to build on those. What we're proposing tonight, however, we're asking for a change that we haven't had an opportunity to include in what you're seeing here. We've had meetings with a couple of the neighborhoods. With a couple of the neighbors. We met with the neighborhood last Tuesday night to introduce what we're going to be proposing tonight so that people would have an opportunity to see it ahead of time, to get some sense, and for us to hear from them what they might be concerned about. And one of the concerns, and you don't really see it on here, but if you look at where the drive comes out onto Bullseye Lake Road on the end, that does not line up in this plat with Oak Grove Drive. And so one of the requests that we had was to move this is an unnamed street at this point. We tried to convince Bill to call it Oding Street. He didn't agree with that. So what we're looking to do is line the street up with Oak Grove Drive so the intersection becomes a four-way stop. And then we'll have the same number of lots because we pick up the 4 lots we lose on the east side of that street as it comes out onto Bullseye Lake Road. Those lots actually end up being a little deeper. And it gives us the opportunity to create that 4-way stop there. There was a request that there could be a 4-way stop sign there. That's not something that we can deal with, but we would certainly support the neighborhood in going to the city's Traffic and Safety Committee at a later date to be able to put a 4-way stop at that location if the neighborhood so desires. I think that pretty well covers the presentation at this point, and after people have had an opportunity to comment on it, we'll be glad to entertain any questions that people have.
Would you mind if we address some of the comments that were made previously? So it might, for the
Sure,
sake of
please.
convenience and time, we can talk about a few things here. Then if there's, when you open it up for public hearing, then there might be additional items people want to talk about. One of the things that seems to be a common concern, as it is for everybody.
Mr. Oding, can you step to the podium, please? Thank you.
Do you want to actually hear me? Okay.
Yes, I do.
One of the things that we've heard consistently here, and we heard it when we had our meeting on site a week ago, is what about the wildlife? And there's no question, there's deer, there's coyotes, there's all the animals running around in that area. And just for an example, when I moved here in 1980, a lot of the subdivisions that are developed and built north of Glendale didn't exist or didn't exist in great number. All those animals, all that wildlife slowly migrates to other areas. We're not going to go in there and take out the deer. We're not going to harm the deer they're going to migrate over, or in an evening, they may not come back. They'll stay where they're at. So they do move around that area. I live on the north side. I see them all the time. And there's no doubt there's deer everywhere up there. I think they migrate from the field there to my house and eat my plants over on the other side of town. So we do have a lot of wildlife in that area, and there's probably close to 90 acres there to support wildlife that hasn't been developed. In terms of utilities, of course, we go through the city's process. Water, sewer capacity is not an issue. We are working with them on how the water lines will be ran, but the capacity is not a problem in that area. Stormwater, if you notice on the plan, Lot A in the lower right is a detention basin. The city has required that, and we have met all city requirements as it pertains to stormwater management, and it will be released at a much lower rate than how it's shedding off of that area now. It will be controlled and released slowly. What else was there? Urban sprawl was a comment. In fact, we're trying to fight urban sprawl. When we have available lands in town, we would rather build on those than push further and further and further out into the country and eat up the countryside and farmland. It's easier to provide services in a denser community. It's easier in terms of fire safety, public safety, all the things that the residents have come to enjoy. Those services cost a lot, and to go urban sprawl and to build more and more and more outside the city takes a lot of city resources. I think that was the bulk of it. In terms of schools, our school corporation, the last I heard on a presentation, their comment was they are not concerned about the number of children in the school system. They have room, they have capacity, and they've been saying that for many years, and they're continuing to say that. This 27 lots won't be introducing that many people. If you're talking about the 97-acre developed property that the Urschels have, or 90 acres, maybe if that was built out, that might be a concern, but not Paradise Community Homes, Cumberland Corner lot will not have a negative effect on our school system at all. And then again, we addressed the issue of our street coming out onto Bullseye Lake, lining up with Oak Grove. That was a recommendation from one of the property owners, and so I think we can make that adjustment internally with our engineers.
There was a question about we're going to be requesting a rezone. This is currently zoned general business. Is that correct?
Business park. Business
park. Well, obviously, when we, as a residential development, this needs to be rezoned. And because of the alley-loaded configurations and the size, the width of those lots as a result of that, the zoning that is most appropriate, that provides the most convenient way for us to move forward with the project without tying ourselves in the knot, is to go to urban residential. And so that's a request to move this from business park to urban residential in order to accommodate the development plan that we proposed.
In terms of the development, we would only, at this point, see one variance that we would likely have to seek from the Board of Zoning Appeal, and that is on lot depth, on the lots, the lot coverage, the lot sizes, the frontage, measurements, all other things are fine. That's the only thing we would be going to the BZA with, is to ask for a variance on the depth of the lots. the urban residential matches up really well with what we're trying to do here. That's all I have. If you are going to open
Thank
it
you.
up for,
Thank you, Mr. Oding. Thank you, Mr. Coolman. The petitioner has commented about wildlife, the water and sewer capacity, stormwater, dealing with urban sprawl, school system capacity, the Oak Grove Street alignment, and the variance that they're looking for. I'd like to open up the public hearing and ask for comments on topics in addition to those that we've spoken about so far. We'll start with those in favor. Please come up and state your name and your address, please.
Good evening. I am Jennifer Brock, 522 Kinsale Court. That's in Center Township. I am here as a community member and also with Lillian over there. I'm as a member of the leadership team of We Make Indiana, Porter County. And I am here to speak in support of the rezoning of this 5-acre parcel for Paradise Homes. I grew up just a half mile from this property. My mom still lives there across from Berkeley Park. I also attend St. Andrew's Church right down the street. It's important to note that we are not here discussing housing versus the status quo of this parcel, but housing urban residential versus the current zoning of business park, which includes light industrial and professional office uses. So let's talk about the environmental impact of attainable housing versus a business park. Housing in this location will be walkable to public transit, grocery stores, drugstores, restaurants, post office, YMCA, churches, etc. This is really advantageous for seniors. It's advantageous for young families. This is really the perfect location for an attainable housing project. This is not urban fringe. It is not on the edge of town. We're not taking over farmland here. Constructing housing near public transit and services, which allows people to live near where they work instead of commuting long distances to Valparaiso, reduces transportation-related emissions. And I can tell you there are many people, servers, public workers, who are commuting from Couts, from long distances to work here, but they cannot afford to live here. Modern higher density housing can incorporate energy efficiencies and green technologies and meet smart growth goals that create less environmental impact as compared to commercial projects. And we would ask that Paradise Homes contractors consider using green infrastructure and sustainable materials to reduce those impacts. In contrast, business parks can usually mean larger light industrial or office buildings and large parking lots with vast impervious surfaces, which can significantly increase stormwater runoff and affect groundwater quality. Increased noise, traffic, light pollution, and air pollution related to emissions from diesel trucks are all possible impacts of the current business park zoning. Using a greenfield site such as this for light industrial and office uses would have greater negative impact on surrounding ecosystems. So I urge the Plan Commission to support this rezoning and for the community to understand what is being voted on here. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else to speak in favor?
I'm Amelie DeJesus. I live on 3406 Churchview Drive. So, just from my perspective as a young person and going out of classes and into the real world, it is quite difficult to find affordable housing as well as renter space, and Valpo especially is rather challenging in that regard. I think it would be advantageous for everyone, especially for younger families, but also people going out of renter homes. So the people that live in apartments their entire life are able to finally buy a home for their family of 4 or 5 that live in an apartment hidden away somewhere, because that's what we had to do. So I think it would be a really great option for people that aren't able to move elsewhere. There is a large homeless population, and I have volunteered and given care to people, especially who are seniors or who have been out and about on the street. And it's important that we think about those that are here, that are actively here, but aren't able to have affordable housing, because you need a home in order to live. It's hard to live out here if you don't have a roof over your head, and it's just not achievable to have a wonderful and great city when there's no people that live here that are able to live here successfully without being in a retirement home or in a nursing home. But that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Kevin Cornett, 452 Northview Drive. We know, I'm on the technical committee of Paradise Community Homes. We know change is hard. We know that. We knew we were going to have a lot of people upset that we're going to take some trees down, and it's going to look a lot different over there. But I have to remind everybody that lives there, they had a wooded lot before, those trees were taken down to build your home. So somebody was probably here back in the 70s saying it's too big, we can't do this for sprawl. But as Bill pointed out, we're not creating sprawl, we're infill. We're infilling these things, so it's easier for us to maintain, it's easier for everything. The density in the place, as opposed to having a sprawling lot, like some of the lots out in northwest of town, sit on 1, 2, 3 acres of grass. Our units are condensed, they're perfect little cottages. It's gonna fit beautifully over there in that neighborhood. There's nothing gonna be outrageous, nothing's gonna be outlandish. It's gonna be an asset to the community. Now, I approach this a little bit differently from the young lady that was just up here. I have a house in town on Northview Drive. It's a nice place, but it's too big for me. I have no place to downsize to. Everything that I look at costs the same as the house that I have. So all I would be doing is trading a 3% loan for a 7% loan. So it doesn't make any sense. So I'm sitting on a 4-bedroom house that could be used for somebody else with a family. It's a little too big for me and the cat. That's the only two that we have in there. So from that aspect, something like this is great for people in my situation, which, as I look around the room, there's probably some other people in that situation too. They'd like to be able to just have a small place they can lock up and go on vacation, and not have to worry about, an acre of grass or this or that or anything else that goes along with owning a larger home. And the last thing I'd like to say, the comments made about the board is very regrettable and beneath the dignity of Valparaiso. Personal attacks are not needed. Nobody on the board is getting paid. Nobody on the board is trying to get rich on this. It takes a lot of time, and so let's try to do better with that. If you have a question, there's a website, there's phone numbers. Most of the people up here, just call them and ask them. It's not, it's going to be a wonderful place. So let's just, settle down, get this done. I think you'll really like it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else to speak in favor? Seeing none, anyone in opposition or to ask questions?
Hi, my name is Peggy Sharp. I live at 3706 Meadow Lake Drive. that's in, right off of Bullseye. I also own property on Bullseye, close to this future change that's going to be happening. My parents built a house on Bullseye in the 1940s and purchased it from the old man Urschel. I remember living there, and I remember when the airport was still open. I remember when Bullseye was finally paved. I went to Cook's Corner School with 5 classrooms. I expect change to happen in Valparaiso. I've lived with it. I've embraced it. I've lived here my whole life. I do not want to live next to a alley. I didn't choose that kind of life. I saved, and we advanced, and we bought up, and we moved to our dream house. And I don't want to be surrounded with lower income homes that are going to depress our income that we've put into our homes in resale value. It's not fair. We had to work to get to where we are, and this change, I have nothing against Urschel's. We've lived behind them my whole life, pretty much. They're wonderful people, but this, we have to think about ourselves, not always about other people. We had to take the steps. My dad lived in a garage while he was building our house, in the back of the house. I don't want lower income housing next to me. We live in Ridgewood Creek subdivision. Harley Snyder built it, right? When I was growing up, that was a farm field. And in the center, there was a depression where the poor farmer couldn't plant his crops because it got too wet. Well, Harley Snyder went in and bought the property and dug that out to be a retention pond, or we call it a lake, but you know darn well it's just a pond. And ask the people that bought the first houses that lived there what happened to their homes that lived along that pond. They started sinking. Everything cracked, everything shifted. They had to get in crews to put in, what do we call those, Dale? That go into the ground? Pylons. The house I have right now, I think has over 20 pylons in it, so that it doesn't slip down the hill and into the pond. Things are changing too radically, and it's not for the good. There's water problems everywhere. Urschel's, there used to be a ditch in the back of all of the properties that lined up on Bullseye. There was a ditch. Well, when they built Whispering Pines, that was all covered up. I'm sorry. I guess that's all I have to say. Things are changing too much. I got pictures on my phone. I live in a little subdivision, a 5-deer in my driveway that has a wall and it was lined with bushes. 5 deer in my driveway. We get muskrats, we get raccoons, we get everything. And now you're going to take even more land away so that they go into the neighborhoods in our area? My son was hit by a deer at the stop sign by First Presbyterian Church on Valparaiso, Bullseye. It was sitting there stopped, and the deer ran into the car. We need more space, not more houses right now. That's all.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Sarah Black, 908 Hastings Terrace, and I am diagonal from this new complex. And I want to thank Paradise Homes for having a meeting with us residents. But one of the things that was a concern of mine that was not mentioned tonight that I would like to please share with you is that the proposal that I understand to be shared with us as residents will have lamp posts in every single one of these 27 homes, and there's no guarantee for downlights. So my concern is not only are these lights going to be coming in two sides of my house, but my neighbor's houses as well. I have nothing wrong with affordable housing, but one of the things I love to do at night is go out and look at the stars, and I've seen the Aurora Borealis 3 times, and I'm just not sure if this light load is going to be so much that I won't be able to see those things anymore. The other thing is, we have some really beautiful bat colonies, brown bats. I want to make it clear because Indiana brown bats are endangered, but brown bat colonies in my neighborhood. And we have some beautiful great horned owls that are living there now. And my concern is they're nocturnal animals, and if we start adding a ton of extra light, are they going to be able to hunt properly? I don't know. That's just something that I was concerned about. So at this point, if the light load is what is shared with us as residents, I would have a concern that that would be negative for us as people and our animal friends too. So thank you.
Thank you.
Lindsay Hunt, 1300 Winding Ridge Lane. So 2 things. You said that this petitioner properly addressed the wildlife issue, and I don't purport myself to be a city planner or a city engineer, but to be very dismissive of the wildlife concerns is offensive to me and probably to many of the people here. To say, oh, they'll just go somewhere else. Like, not every species can just go somewhere else. And I'm not talking about the big, that is a concern, the big section, but this one is too. Just because it doesn't have trees doesn't mean there aren't species using it. And those species can't go to treed areas. They can't go to agriculture. There is nowhere else for them to go. I'm an ecologist, master's degree, well-trained. I can speak to that, and I wonder what ecological people have you addressed other than a person who is petitioning to build here, saying, well, they'll move because we have pollinator issues. There are federal millions of dollars in federal bills to try and save pollinators that use this kind of habitat. They don't use forests. They don't use the wooded areas. They don't just go somewhere else. Also, there are affordable housing in that range right now. I am the treasurer of Northridge Condos. Those are starter homes. I went from renting when I first moved here for my job to buying a condo, which is the starter home that I own. So to say that there is no lower income housing is not correct in this neighborhood. There are at least 3 condominium groups in this area where people come to downsize and start homes. I just got engaged, my fiance is here, we plan on eventually buying a house because we bought a starter home that we could afford that is in the price range of these cottages. So there is area there now. And to suggest that condos are not homes is not correct either. They are just as much of a home, a personal owned home, not renting, as a single family home. You can raise a family there, you can retire there, you can downsize there. Also, it changes, just deal with it, because we've decided that this is something your community has to just swallow. How would you like it if I came to your neighborhood and said, well, I'm just going to tear down all your homes so that I can have a green space, because green space is important to me and important to some members of the community. You are asking, saying, we're going to come in and we're going to build here, even though lots of people in the community are saying we don't want that, and you're saying just deal with it. We've decided that this is the best option for your community already without asking, is this something that the community wants? That's my 2 cents.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sharon Johnson. I serve as the CEO for the Valparaiso Family YMCA, located at 1201 Cumberland Crossing Drive. I thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this evening. I recognize the importance of attainable housing in our community and appreciate the mission of Paradise Community Homes. My concern is not with the concept of this project, but with how the shared boundary between this proposed subdivision and the YMCA property is designed. Today, our fields are bordered by open, undeveloped land, and in that context, the current conditions function appropriately. However, the introduction of residential backyards directly adjacent to active play areas fundamentally changes that environment. YMCA facilities are active environments for youth, adults, and family programming. On any given day, our fields, playgrounds, and pavilions are filled with children and families participating in sports, camps, and community events. When homes are introduced immediately adjacent to that activity without a clear defined boundary, it creates new and avoidable concerns. There would be direct, unbuffered access between private backyards and areas where children are actively playing. This increases the likelihood of children, pets, and others moving between properties during activity, as well as balls and equipment entering residential yards. It also creates unclear boundaries that make supervision and day-to-day operations much more difficult for us. Without clear separation, adjacent residents may also begin to view portions of the YMCA's outdoor space as an extension of their neighborhood. These areas are not designed or managed as public neighborhood space, and that type of informal use creates operational challenges for our staff. From a youth safety standpoint, this is not about current conditions. It is about anticipating and responsibly addressing the change that this development now introduces. I am also mindful excuse me, of the long-term relationship between future homeowners and the YMCA. Future residents should understand from the beginning that they are purchasing homes next to an active YMCA campus with outdoor sports, youth programming, lighting, events, and regular activity that normal YMCA operations do not later become a surprise or a point of conflict. My intent is not to oppose this development, but to ensure it is designed in a way that allows both the neighborhood and the YMCA to coexist successfully. With that in mind, I respectfully ask the Commission to consider, as part of the project approval, a meaningful and functional buffer along the entire boundary between the residential lots and the YMCA property. As part of the development design, this should include a continuous barrier that clearly defines separation and prevents easy passage between properties, one that both people and pets cannot easily climb over, crawl under, or pass through. In addition, I ask for appropriate setbacks and clear formal disclosure to future homeowners that these homes are adjacent to an active YMCA campus with ongoing programming and events. The Valparaiso Family YMCA has proudly been a part of this community for more than 80 years, and we remain deeply committed to our mission of serving youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility. This is the point in this process where these boundary conditions can be addressed thoughtfully and effectively. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Amy Naundorf again, 2256 Beauty Creek Court. I love hearing the comments. My concerns are, I have a few actually. Number one, if the YMCA is getting these boundaries, which I can understand wanting them for safety and all sorts of things, that too is going to put an additional strain on the wildlife being able to, as you have so eloquently said, move elsewhere. Additionally, I've heard you repeatedly say, different people presenting, that this is the only portion that they have planned. And I would like for everybody to understand that would be at this time. Because when you divide these parcels up and you rezone them from business to something else that is residential, it's just a matter of time is what we're fighting here. So when you change the nature of this, and I do understand that the lady stated that it was going from business to residential. I understand that. Business would not put the strain on your schools because they're not going to have additional families. Businesses are not going to, they're going to be held to different developmental standards than housing units would be. You wouldn't have the same concerns from the YMCA as far as that. And right now, you would be more likely to turn down business development than you would to turn down extra housing development. So again, I understand you seem to think that the schools do not have a problem with this, but I would think that the parents who have children in these schools do have a problem. When you're adding perhaps maybe as much as 100 kids, that's 4 classrooms in addition to the other units that are being developed on this side of town. So I think that it does not need to be changed to residential. I think it needs to stay business and protect all of that space as it is being used effectively now.
Thank you.
Marcy Stearns, 1152 Smallwood Trail. So a couple of things. I understand that my home was built where there used to be trees, and now we're complaining about trees being taken down again. But as my mother would say, 2 wrongs don't make a right. And I have the same concerns about the YMCA being adjacent to this property that were just expressed by her. That was a thought that I had too. With what we see here, it does look like a lot of properties squeezed into a small area. And I just lost my train of thought, so bear with me a minute. Nope. It's not, unfortunately, I cannot remember what I was going to say. I need to write these down, but just my concerns on that. Oh, here it is. And then with the families moving in there and trying to make this affordable for them, I was going through the Paradise website, trying to look at the procedures and whatnot, and it seems that they're attempting to build a home for a more affordable rate, but that the home would actually in value be worth more. And then there's that whole gift lien thing that I was trying to understand as well. But I'm wondering if we have young families that can't afford what's available currently here in Valpo, and we give them this opportunity to say, hey, you know what, here's a way for you to get into a house. It's a less expensive house, but the assessed value would potentially be higher. So are we putting them in a situation where now they do own a home that currently they couldn't afford to buy a home in Valpo, but now we've made that affordable for them to buy, but at the same time, are we putting another burden on them for the taxes, all of the bills that go along with it? So paying your NIPSCO bill on a home instead of an apartment, paying your cable bill on a home instead of an apartment, your water bill, all of those things that go with it. Is that an increased burden because they could not afford in the first place? So even though we're making this part a little easier for them, are we creating another burden because they still may not be able to afford all of the expenses that come along with home ownership? I understand at a certain age, like those of us, like I have a big house, I am looking to downsize as well. It's not as much an issue for us, but for new families starting out, I do potentially see that, you know, there could be a burden placed on them, even though the home itself is more affordable. So just another thought that I had. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, really quick. Noelle Gopinski, 1002 Oak Grove Court. I just have a question regarding like the safety of everything. So it looks like the backyards are going to be placed towards the street, which, yeah, would make it great for all of us. We wouldn't have to look into other houses. But is there going to be like fences set up or anything so that children and dogs and animals don't run into the street? And yeah, you can tell a 5-year-old, please don't run into the street. But if their ball goes into the street, they're very likely to run into the street. I'm sorry. But what like could we do so that that's less likely to happen, I guess is what I'm saying. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Walt Breidinger, live at 608 Academy Street, and have been a resident and taxpayer since the 1960s. And I own a locally operated business, and I understand it's fun to make as much money as possible. I'm a capitalist, and I'm not objecting to people making money by development. I also chair an organization called the Valparaiso Chain of Lakes Watershed Group. I would like to remind everybody, in case you hadn't heard, many years ago, Dr. Robin Strabilo of Purdue University described the Valpo Lakes as being the most biodiverse watershed in the entire state of Indiana. And one of the things I'm most concerned about is that some of, if not the majority of the effluent or the stormwater that washes off of these proposed areas will eventually end up into Flint Lake. That polluted stormwater will include a lot of salt that has been used on roads and other impervious surfaces. It will include a lot of phosphates because people will be tempted to put fertilizer on their lawns. It will include dog poop. It will include a lot of pesticides, plant killers, or other biocides, and a variety of other pollutants, and they will all go downstream into Flint Lake, which for many decades served as a source of water for the city of Valparaiso and may serve as a source of water for people in the future. What I would ask is that the board make every attempt to protect that watershed and conserve its natural features and its biodiversity, and try to reduce the amount of foliage, trees, any green spaces that are challenged or removed for the creation of housing. I understand the need for low-income housing, and I applaud those that wish to provide that, but not at the expense of ruining or damaging or threatening the Valparaiso Chain of Lakes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ashley Smithy, 1300 at Winding Ridge. When I originally came here, I was completely against it, no, no, no. And then hearing others speak that were pro for it, such as the young youth here talking about buying their first homes, I think that's great. Back in 2016, I had the opportunity as a young nurse, had my career going, and bought my own home, so I agree with that. Having that opportunity and ability to do so is great. In these homes, that's great that that's, you know, first homes for small families, but those families will grow. So the selling point to this is that these are affordable houses. For how long and how many owners? Because when you go to sell your house, you want to make a profit off of it. So how long is that neighborhood going to be actually affordable? Just probably one owner. And not many people stay 30 years, 40 years in their home. And I get that. My own mother, she had 4 floors in her house. It was our family home. She sold it. She tried to downsize and could barely afford what was in Valpo. So I absolutely think that's a great opportunity, but that's only 27 families that will have that opportunity. After that, what are those houses going to sell for? Because there's people from Illinois that will pay a lot more for that. And they will, I mean, houses are selling now in Valparaiso, Porter County area, and they are being offered minimum $30,000 over the asking price. So it's probably what's going to happen to these homes too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Andy and Nancy Moats. We are residents of 1101 Bullseye Lake Road, which is directly north of this parcel. We attended the presentation by the developer, and we appreciate the insights to the what we would be looking at this point, the market lots, alley loaded. We appreciate the fact that there are no driveways coming to the north side, which would just be overloading Bullseye Lake Road. It was discussed that the driveway or the roadway would be turned up if this proceeds, so that Oak Grove residents are at a 4-way stop, which would improve the process of this development, which I am not against the development itself. Change is happening. Are we going to miss the natural view? Absolutely. Change is occurring. It is a private development. We appreciate the Urschel's intent here. But as the YMCA presented, the devil is in the detail on how things are developed. The perimeters, not just the perimeter between the YMCA and the north, but how the roadway is developed. The one thing that's not being presented at this point is they're presenting curb cuts along Bullseye Lake Road for visitor parking, which there's no visitor parking along Bullseye Lake Road. I would be highly concerned about street parking along that roadway. The other thing was not mentioned that you said, Bob, this is, and Bill, this is a HOA. Is that correct? This is an HOA.
Please ask questions.
Okay.
The commission will answer them later.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. So the HOA would be maintaining the parcels, which would be good, in my opinion. The other thing that we would really appreciate is what is coming out from a landscape would be presented back in the development ordinance requirements of landscaping along the parkway, both parkways. And perhaps as a buffer visually and perhaps acoustically to the YMCA to the south. So if that were, if the development proceeds, we think again, how the perimeters are protected is our biggest concern, and that's it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no one else to speak, I will close the public hearing and ask Mr. Oding to comment.
So I'll go down through the comments as I have tried to write them all down. The one, I don't want to live next to an alley. The only people living next to the alley will people buying houses on the alley. So I'm not certain that there's any real concern there. The other is, don't want to live near lower valued homes. I'm not sure how to comment on that, to tell you the truth. These homes we expect to be 250 to 300,000. The ones we just completed in last year in 25, the 5 homes cost $289,000 to build. They appraised at $330,000. So they come in a bit cheaper because we get land donations from people like the Urschels. We get grants and we seek lower bids than what would typically be paid out for development like this. Not really the whole idea of not wanting to live next to a lower valued home is a bit concerning, frankly. Street lights, lamppost lights, that was brought up during the public meeting that we had last Tuesday, and I envisioned lampposts in the yard, a single bulb, nothing crazy, just enough to light up the walk coming up to the house. Let's see, great horned owls and brown bat colonies. I don't even know how to address that one, frankly. I guess it's certainly a valid concern. We have to follow state regulations on these sorts of things in terms of when trees can be taken down because of bat colonies and such, and we will certainly be following that, and the city will certainly hold our feet to the fire in how we do that. So we will look for that and try to address it. Dismissive about wildlife. A little bit dismissive about wildlife, to be quite honest. I get it, I understand. But the wildlife, it would be more disturbing if we tried to go in and capture them and do something with them. If they move naturally, I would think, and there's a huge field right across the street, across Cumberland Crossing, for them to move into. So I don't really mean to be dismissive. I just don't know how other developments handle these sorts of things. We'll look into it. When you look at Beauty Creek, some of the subdivisions that were mentioned tonight, they all displaced wildlife. The Brooks, all of them, large development, beautiful developments, displaced wildlife. Certainly we'll consider it and how we manage that. Someone said condos, about condos as in terms of a negative home. Condos are perfectly fine, and we encourage them, and we're working with a developer to build attainable condos right now. And so not on this site, but on another site. And condos have their place, absolutely. What we're talking about is owner-occupied housing, not rentals, not condos, but single-family owner-occupied housing for this location. I just wanted to add that the community, someone said that this is being forced upon them. The community has expressed for quite some time, the city residents for some time, and I had lots of meetings with people concerned about this, and that is attainable housing within the city of Valparaiso. And so to say that there's not a need, it's being pushed upon them, I think the residents have spoken clearly on this issue. And maybe not the ones living along Bozai Lake and Cumberland Crossing intersection area, but certainly throughout the city, this is a big issue. A fence, I guess, or something along the southern edge of the property. I'm glad to work with the Y on that. I mean, there's things that we should consider. I would offer that we have a number of city parks that aren't totally fenced in because we fear that people in the houses living next to it are going to do something to the children. I mean, that's not an issue with city parks. And playgrounds. I'm not sure why the Y is concerned about that, but I'm glad to talk with Sharon further about that. Business park versus residential. It's an interesting comment. I'm not sure the people here want a business park commercial development in that location because it's going to displace wildlife. Any development's going to displace wildlife. So if you go and put office buildings or whatever there, the trees come down, the buildings go up, the wildlife is displaced.
Bill, the big difference there is in residential development. I don't know whether this is, in residential development, because of the city's tree ordinance, 10 years down the road, there'll be a lot more trees on this property than there is now. We've done the required tree survey on the property. There's one tree that meets city standards in everything that's in that tree canopy that's on the south side. Everything else is, I guess you might use the term trash trees. Right. But if you drive through any current developments in the city today, because of the city's tree ordinance, there'll be a lot more trees there 10 years down the road, and they're quality trees than what's there now.
That's a very good point, Bob. Thank you for bringing that up. I can tell you the subdivision I live in at one point was a crop field, beans and corn. My little lot that I live on has over 20 trees on it, and because I love trees and I like the feel of having trees around me, and so my lot is consumed with trees, which isn't always fun in the fall, but I do enjoy having them around the rest of the year. So typically what happens when these sorts of things get developed, as Bob said, they get treed up. People plant trees. A city will meet the landscape requirement, that was one of the issues, and exceed the landscape requirement. We want it to look nice. We want it to be someplace that if you are living in that area, especially, that you feel good about, or if you're buying in that area, you want to be there because it's a comfortable place because of the trees and the landscaping. A lot of property in a small area, it is. By what you normally see, it is. We meet all the city standards except for the lot depth. So they're smaller yards. But when you look at the property and its location, you're within a pathway walk to restaurants, coffee shops, grocery stores, Ace Hardware, for Pete's sake, schools, high school, Cook's Corner School, playgrounds. The YMCA has a playground right next to it that's open to the public. And so, yes, there's a lot there, but there's a lot that's offered in the immediate area for the public, for the residents in Cumberland Corner to use. Additional monthly bills, when these folks go through and get their loans, just like when I did, and I'm sure all of you did at one point in your life when you're buying a house, they sit down and go through all your monthly bills. They talk about that. That's part of the process. So you're not going in blind and all of a sudden you go, oh my gosh, I got to shell out $500 a month for this or that, all adding up to a bunch of money. So it's not like they will be blindsided with this. The people, the banks we're working with, the lenders that we're working with do an excellent job on that education piece. Stormwater, we will meet and exceed the city's stormwater requirements. That was told to us right out of the gate when we started talking about this, and we're happy to do that. That's our responsibility to do that. I'm not sure we're going to fix stormwater issues out on the street and away from our property, but we won't add to it with our development. That won't happen. How long, that's a good question. That's probably one of the best I heard tonight. How long will these be affordable? You know, you got 27 houses, 9 of them are market rate, so those may be long-term, but the remaining 18 lots, we have controls on that. We have right of first refusal, that when you purchase one of our homes, you have to sign a document saying we have the right of first refusal. We can come back and buy it back from you and keep it in the affordable, attainable realm, okay? Can they flip it? Can they buy it one day and a month later cash in on that, what I told you earlier, 285 to 330, cash that in and take the money and run? They cannot. There's no appreciated value in these homes that they get for the first 3 years. And then it ratchets up on year 10. If you're there 10 years, guess what? You get it all. You deserve it all. You can have it. You are not in to take advantage of this and of our program. We have spent hours and hours debating and talking about this, trying to come up with a program that's fair to the home buyer, but also fair to us for the work that we're doing and for the community that's supporting it. By giving us grants, by giving us land, we wanted to protect the interests of what we're doing and the work that we're putting into it. So yes, that was very good question, and I'm glad to talk even further about that. Will it have an HOA? Yes, it will have an HOA. It has to have an HOA. I'm not sure how much is going to be carved out for them to deal with other than the detention basin, but there will be an HOA that has to address how the basin gets maintained. And then street parking. We had options when we started putting this together. And that was we could have driveways out on Bullseye Lake Road. There's other houses along there with driveways on Bullseye Lake Road. Why couldn't we do it? But we didn't want to do it there because we wanted to be kind to the people that live in the area and to make it easier for the residents to get in and out and for overall safety. So by putting the garages in the back of the house, rear loaded, for the houses that face Bullseye Lake Road, we needed to give them some street parking. And if you are concerned about this area, take a look at the corner of Chicago and Campbell Street next to St. Paul Square. It's exactly the same thing as what we're proposing here. St. Paul Square corner sees 8,700 cars a day. This corner sees 4,100 cars a day. Huge difference. It works at 8,700 cars a day. It works really well. I drive through there multiple times a day.
With a lot more density.
With a lot more density than what we have up on Bullseye Lake. So I don't think that I get the concern. I appreciate the concern, but we have looked at this and studied this at great length to see if there was something there that we were missing. The one question that I missed, the question was about backyards facing the street. We don't have any backyards facing streets. All the front yards face the streets. The backyards on the first two row of homes you see up there are facing the alley. So there is an alley behind there for trash pickup to get to your garage and those sorts of things, but not towards a city street. I think that's it. I think I got all the questions or comments and addressed them all. I hope you decide to support the rezoning of this property. It's vital. It's important that we do this and do it at this location in order to develop attainable homes in Valparaiso, and something that people here have agreed is badly needed, and we agree as well. And a lot of thought and concern have gone into these plans. We've hired some fine engineers to study it, give us some comments, and help pull all this together. And I think we have a good plan, and I would appreciate your support going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oden. I'd like to open it up to the Plan Commission, beginning with staff comments.
I think Mr. Oden covered the one comment that we would have on this, and that is there would be a variance that's going to be required from the Board of Zoning Appeals for this, and it is for lot depth. On that, the code is very simple. It's the minimum lot width, which is, or the 50 feet divided by the minimum square footage of the lot, which comes out to have to be 100 feet. They meet the square footage for the lots on every single one. So they all exceed over 5,000 on that. The lot width exceeds the minimum, which is 50 on that. So, but they miss the lot depth, I think. On average, they're maybe 90, 92 feet, so they've got to make up that little bit. So that's the only comment I have.
Thank you.
Just some items from engineering. They've provided a stormwater management plan for our team to review. Same with the street layout as well as sewers and water. They're working with our utilities department on those components, and they've agreed to meet all city requirements for the design.
Questions from the commission? Other questions?
You know, the homes that are in the bottom two rows, people can just drive in on Main Street, and if they're having a birthday party or something, they can park on the street. What about the homes that are on Bullseye Lake Road, facing that way, and people are having company? Do they park on Bullseye Lake?
They would park on Bullseye Lake. That's why we have the little bump outs there for parking. You could put quite, I don't remember the exact amount, but there's quite a bit of parking earmarked along there.
Okay.
This is where we're looking to add.
Oh, the bump out,
parking
okay.
on the south side of Bullseye Lake.
Okay.
And that was,
Parking on Bullseye Lake.
that was our decision to put the alley and rear load those, but then you have to give visitors some place to park when they come to visit.
Right.
Go ahead.
Okay. First, I want to thank you for meeting with the neighborhood across the street. I think that's really shows a good sign of a community member or being good neighbors, so I do appreciate that. You talked a bit about the city's tree ordinance and surveys. I spoke with Mr. Thompson a bit earlier about that too. For those in the watching at home or in the audience now, to further explain that is trees of a certain diameter are staying, and the ones that have to come down, you have to replace them with so many additional trees. Can you speak to that just
Correct. There is a listing of trees that the ordinance has as considered of having value. Now, Mr. Kuhlman mentioned there was one. I thought I saw three.
Two.
somewhere between?
We had a tree survey done,
Right.
and there were two trees of significant diameter, and one is questionable in terms of the species, but the other one is definitely one that we would have to replace.
Could you share that with me, the tree survey? Do you have-
Sure, it's really simple.
I would love to see
It's
it.
a map with two trees on it to have to.
And I would still like to see it, so thank you for sending that.
But to go further on it, they measured the diameter of it at chest high on that. And if it starts exceeding certain diameter amounts, they'd have to replace it with so many trees. I think if it's 10 inches chest high, then they have to replace it with 2 trees. And we have a listing of good quality trees that we want to see with the replacement. So it all depends on the diameter of those particular trees.
No, thank you for explaining that a little further. I did want to comment on class size and school size. You had mentioned that
What size?
the school sizing and classroom sizing, and it was just recently with the Midwood Terrace, which was last, I think, August. We had reached out, or Mr. Thompson, Director Thompson had reached out to our school superintendent, who had no worries or issues with that development. I think, if I recall correctly, from
Correct.
school board meetings, they've had lower enrollment rates, especially post-COVID. I think the kindergarten classes have been smaller and smaller. To have to fact check that, but that's a recent school board meeting as well. I'm glad you noted about the lighting restrictions. I think that's important to evaluate too, especially based on how much green space is still available to the west of this parcel. I would like to echo Ms. Johnson from the YMCA's concerns on the transition there. I think that is definitely worth exploring and taking into consideration, especially as great neighbors that we have in the YMCA. They are, we should have some, I'll say give priority to those conversations as well. I wanted to also confirm that Urschel is donating the land to Paradise Community Homes?
They are.
Fully? Fully donated?
Yeah.
For free?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're
Confirming.
giving us all of it. Well, not all 90-some acres, just 5 acres or so.
Okay. And then I was glad to hear you explain further the market value of those homes on Bullseye Lake Road. At first, that perked my ears a little of like, okay, on the main street we'll have these bigger homes, and then are we hiding the more attainable homes behind it? But hearing you explain that as like for the neighborhood surrounding, I can understand where you're coming from there.
Let me see if I can address it.
I don't know if there's anything.
I live in downtown Valpo
Me too.
on Franklin Street.
Right.
If you are fully aware of my neighborhood, your neighborhood, it was obviously developed back before the turn of the 19th century. We have 4 principal streets in that area that have most of what I would refer to as the signature houses on those streets. Right around the corner on all of the streets that are named after trees, as long as we're talking about trees, willow, hickory, whatever else, are a lot of the kinds of cottages that we're talking about on the second tier of homes here. The fact that those are integrated into the same neighborhood does not negatively impact the value of the signature houses at all. If anything, in the world today, there is a demand for people who want to live in that kind of neighborhood, the kind of neighborhood that you and I live in, partially because of the fact that it's a mixed-use neighborhood and provides a number of things, benefits. I get a kick out of the fact that 25 years ago when I first moved downtown, we did not see a lot of young families pushing strollers down the street. Today we see it all the time. We also see old people like me pushing strollers with their dogs in the stroller down the street. I have been doing mixed-use development since the early 1970s, intentionally wanting to create neighborhoods where a whole variety of people live, and it contributes to the sense of community, the sense of relationship. I can have a number of instances where 3 generations of one family all live in the same general neighborhood because we've been able to provide a mixed-use development. So part of what we're doing here is accommodating exactly that sort of thing. We're protecting property values for the people across the street with the market rate houses, where we're selling the lots at market, and builders are allowed to build whatever they want. They'll sell those at market rate, and then the other 18 lots are the houses that we're working on to provide a significant degree of attainability.
Thank you. And sorry, maybe my question was coming off as offensive, but I was actually being complimentary of that development and your consideration for neighbors. You're welcome. Anyone else before I keep going? Anyone? That actually might have been it. Because we will have you back in June to approve that.
The rezone.
For the rezone. I think that might be it from me.
I had a question. You referenced the right of first refusal as a way to keep the properties affordable. Wanted to understand that a little bit better. How does that maintain affordability into the future?
We have the right to buy it down. So when they go to sell, I don't have the formula here, but there's a process by which they get an offer for the house, and we have the right to match that offer. But when looking at the appreciated value, it depends on where they're at in that process. That 10-year process might buy some of that down as well. So we may apply some of the appreciated value towards the purchase of the house. So our goal is, one, we built the house, or we didn't technically build it. We had it built, and we know what's there, and we are comfortable taking it back, so to speak, from that individual and putting it back into the attainable realm. I don't have the formula for you, Mark. I don't know what it is right off the top of my head. Hopefully, we're years away from that happening.
Understood.
Seeing no other questions, we're not voting on anything tonight, and we'll be taking these up at our next meeting. Any staff items to talk about tonight?
Guess the only item I have to mention is the comprehensive plan is going along well. We're still hoping to have a draft copy for Plan Commission members and to look at it probably September, I'm hoping, what it is. And we may be kicking off the actual revisions to the Unified Development Ordinance. Probably late May, beginning of June. So that's going to be coming at us pretty soon, too. Had an interesting conversation today, and I would just mention it, is with Representative Miller and the mayor and a few city staffs, and it's about the recently House bill enacted 1001, which is asking a lot of questions for us to how we're going to about making housing and lots affordable to the citizens in the city.
All right, excellent. Anything more from engineering or legal?
I have nothing.
All right. All right, hearing no more staff items and nothing more on the agenda, we'll go ahead and close tonight's meeting for the Valparaiso Plan Commission. Thanks again for everybody's input tonight.
It's been a long time since I've done that.
Oh, Steve.